probably got a lot of people that read books and enjoy films as much as I do, and maybe you read a book and then watch the film when the version comes out on the big screen, and possibly you saw a memoir of a geisha. This was so disappointing to me because it idealized and sanitized the protagonist, and it took out the subtlety, the nuance of character. It took out truth, and it missed the mark. It was very disappointing. A memoir is, by very definition, a spin. It's spin. I know now this was, a book inside a book kind of thing. I mean, it was a book written as a memoir, but, just say a biography. But it's a memoir, Is everyone going to be quite open about their motives, about what happened every single instance? No, they are not. I can guarantee it. And there'll be times when they're shining the good light on themselves. Okay? And that's what pissed me off about Memoirs of a Geisha. Anyway, let's just say, for example, now, just say you sort of got caught out a little bit. You weren't expecting someone to ring you up about a room that you'd been staying in and say, well, we've been to that room just after you checked out and went back to Salida and we found it in a certain way. Or what if someone visited you on the day, because that's what law enforcement does, is follow up pretty quickly, and on a Monday noticed certain things and you said, oh, it wasn't me. No, it was like that. Because what if you'd been enjoying your time, just having a nice little holiday, double bed, clean sheets changed for you overnight, smooth cotton, fresh smell, just a little bit of a change down on the big smoke. Does anyone know what shabu, crystal meth, pea, rock, what do you call it? Do you know what it smells like when you smoke it? Well, it can depend on where you bought it, who cut it, how it was made. There's a few variations, and could smell like cat piss, ammonia, all sorts of things, chlorine. Maybe someone had a swim and dropped some towels on the floor, but didn't want to be seen to have done it for some reason, or who knows. See how easy it is to cast aspersions on someone because they were there, because there's gossip, or you can make assumptions about people's history. People who have been in prison, and depending what for. I mean, because I've had contact through, I don't want to say too much, but with people on PMP, for AOD, things associated with that, I've seen mannerisms, and what people struggle with, and what people's barriers are, what they cope with in life, and what their cycles are, how hard it is to stay away from certain things, the destructiveness of life, the trauma, the PTSD. Prison is really awful, no matter what you're in there for. Authorities will tell you there's no drugs in prison. well, some hard-hitting documentaries might tell you, but the official line by governments is there's no drugs in prison. Because this is because they don't have to do harm reduction then, and they don't have to do certain things, but there are a lot of drugs in prison, and sometimes it makes it easier to control people, doesn't it? And there's a lot of drugs in prison, but there's not a lot of safe drug use in prison, and people get sick, they don't get cured, and they come out devastated, at a loss. It's very hard to get a life back. And your mind isn't the same, and your mind is sometimes brain damaged, and neurologically you're different, and you've got nerve damage too, and it's a very unusual way of moving arms and things, but not saying anything. Isn't it easy to extrapolate depending on what your life experience is, or the little things that might have been there for you to observe at times in your life? So it's very easy to cast aspersions, isn't it? And it's very easy to think, what if someone needed to come up with a reason, or, was caught with their hand in the cookie jar, or something was broken and they said, it wasn't me, Mum. No, it was already like that. We don't know. So let law enforcement piece it all together, because, look, we all want to know what the hell happened between Maysville and Denver. Anything? What happened between Maysville, any other location, and then Denver, and when? We want to know why. We want to know motive, don't we? Isn't that what we're supposed to learn? Motive, means, opportunity, Run those motives by us, please. Could be several. And those motives open up motives and motives of motives and open up people that might act. Open up, if those motives put other people into the frame quite strongly, then that gives other people motives. It just goes round and round, doesn't it? So you kind of have to rely on evidence, which is quite a funny thing, isn't it? So, look, did Fox TV go into the room? They should have asked to see the room, film. They should have asked to see the pool schedule, show that. They should have interviewed the manager, even if they didn't appear on camera. Maybe they did. Maybe that's going to just drip, drip, drip out. Information dripping out. Careers can drip down the drain as well. It's such a shame. This is like this, isn't it? It's so whack. It's just so beyond bizarre now because what what I'm doing, I'm part of it as well, I understand. Yeah, but, just wanted to say, look, there's lots of explanations where the towel's just wet and the room had a certain smell. And there's an explanation. You know what? You learn these explanations over and over again too. They're sometimes used in the past. Wouldn't it be interesting to know? Yeah, I don't know. It's very queer. It'd be good to know when law enforcement went to the hotel. Was it after Jeff left? When did they interview him? Was he there in the hotel? Was it in the hotel? Did they just ask him about these things? But, he used that hotel for a couple of days. And he was doing some work, so did he just have his own tools? I mean, and again, I could cast aspersions, and quite cruel ones, that, if people need money, they pawn tools. Carpentry tools, all sorts. A drill here, a drill there. This is what gets stolen out of people's vehicles often. People take things, they break into houses or sheds just to look for tools. Tools are very, very pawn shoppable. That's something to look into, and that's a long shot, but that's all those little things. That's the kind of thing that's every little stone unturned that you expect. I expect law enforcement did that months ago, so they would know. Barry would have said his tools were missing or some were missing. So, if Jeff didn't find tools there, maybe he really didn't find tools there, and not that maybe he did find tools there, but they're not there now. And maybe, Barry's too wrapped up in things. Who knows? Guess who does know about tools? Law enforcement. So it's just so interesting. Leave it to law enforcement. Leave it to Kenny Rogers. What a tragedy. What's on this album? This is just a recollections. Just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town. Beautiful song. This is an awesome song. It's so beautiful. But you know that I love you. Kenny Rogers, if you don't know him, or if you think he's naff, or if you think he's too old school or country or what, well then you don't know music, because Kenny Rogers, his talent, his voice is utterly wonderful. Utterly wonderful. It's moving in the same way that Neil Finn's voice is so compelling and moving. That man will cause a lot of emotion within. A Stranger in My Place. Reuben James. Reuben James. You still walk the furrowed fields of my mind. On the plow. Love you then and I love you now. Reuben James. Anywho, this is turning a bit weird yet again. See you later.